Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Jaxon. I'm your host, Jaxon, and today we are going to be recapping 4 games from a monster college football weekend. Also, I'm going to give you my updated college football rankings, and we're going to wrap up today's show with a couple of predictions for the Thursday night football game, the NFL season opener, and the Friday night game in Brazil. So, without further ado, I'm just going to get straight into it. We're going to start with Alabama versus Florida State. Alabama was favored by 2 touchdowns, and they started off the game scoring on their opening series. Florida State would answer that opening series touchdown with a touchdown of their own. And they got a stop, got the ball back, took the lead 14-7 on a touchdown run, kicked the field goal. Heading into the second half, they got the ball back, and they get the ball back after a stop, and scored a touchdown on that second series of the second half. So now Florida State's up 24-7. Alabama would drive down the field, take a lot of time on the clock, run a lot of plays. And that drive would end with a field goal, so it would be 10-24, and then the fourth quarter would come. Got a touchdown on the opening drive of the fourth quarter, make that 24-17, and then Florida State, the dagger in the heart of the Tide fans, touchdown run from Gavin Sawchuk, 31-17, Florida State. First of all, just want to clap it up for Florida State. Upset of the year, to be honest. So, takeaways from the game, really. A couple things. I'm going to start with Alabama, which is, the offense. Alabama didn't look great in this game, I will say. Offense, what did not play at all what I was expecting them to play. They were behind for majority of this game because they couldn't score points. When they really needed points, I think after that, after the opposing team scores on their first series, after you scored on your first series, you're kind of like, okay, we got ourselves a battle here until somebody drives and gets a stop, in which case it was Florida State. They took it and ran with it, and you can't blame them right there. You can't. The offense, they didn't look great, but the defense, I'm talking about the defensive line. And this was a unit that is experienced, a unit that, in my opinion, I put them over LSU, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, because of how experienced this unit was and how good they played last year. But I don't know if I can really say that about Alabama's defense. Maybe Thomas Castellanos is just that good, and I'm underrating Alabama. But I can't, say Alabama's defense, or at least their defensive line, is as good as I think they are. Now, the secondary might be really good. I got no problem with the secondary. You Xavier Brown on one side, and on the other side you got Damani Jaxon. That might be two of the best. That might be the 1-2 combo in all college football. But you look at, the stats. And Alabama without Jam Miller, we mentioned he'd be gone for the first 4 weeks of the season. He'd be back for the Georgia game. So Alabama didn't really run the ball good enough. 87 yards rushing. Florida State had 230. Their quarterback led their team in rushing with 78 rushing yards. All their touchdowns were rushing touchdowns. You had 14 pass attempts from the opposing team. Only 9 of them were completed. No passing touchdowns. So it just raises the question mark of, is Alabama's defense really good? And after this game, they don't look that good. But there's a lot of room to improve. I also think that the offense wasn't great. Ty Simpson threw the ball 43 times. 20 of those 43 were incomplete passes. It is, in my opinion, it's You can't win a football game, in my opinion, throwing the ball 43 times unless you're Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. I've never seen it been done before, and it's really hard to do. And typically, you have that many pass attempts when you're trailing like that, and they were for majority of this football game. So no surprise that they threw the ball so much. Plus, they couldn't run it because their superstar running back was injured. So, and when you come back out of the bye week, it's immediate SEC play. So you can't even try and get the ball going on the ground game now because your star running back is injured. That's a problem. You know, what I'm trying to say is if they start running the ball this week versus Louisiana Monroe, that's going to be good. If they can run it effectively, that's going to be fantastic. But it won't really matter that much because you're going to Georgia and, you're going to have your star running back. So even if Richard Young or Riley gets a majority of those touches, it won't matter overall because Jam Miller's coming back. And you got to get him in that mix. So I don't know how Alabama plans on running the ball. And I've said this, so if you know me, you know I say this, but run the pass. And that's how you win football games. You start with running the football. You could see it from Michigan, this Saturday, but also years prior. You could see it from Georgia Tech, the win they had the other day. When you run the ball and you have more rushing yards, you typically win the football game. Florida State, they outran them by 100 rushing yards. And Alabama had to throw the ball so much. It's a rough game for Alabama. And what's crazy? I think they, could have potentially won this game if Jam Miller played. If the defense maybe stepped up a little bit, but that's what ifs. I don't really like what ifs. Because it's like, well, what if the Lions were healthy last year? They would have won the Super Bowl. I don't believe that. Next game is going to be Clemson versus LSU. I would say this is game of the week, but we had a top 5 matchup, so this wasn't exactly game of the week, but this is another instance of where the losing team couldn't run the ball effectively. And that was the biggest question that everybody was asking Clemson. Can you run the ball? The answer is no, because they don't have a running back. That's just how I see it. You split touches between guys like Adam Randall, Kate Klubnik, and Keith Adams Jr. You can't win football games like that, man. But you know what? I said we're going to start by recapping the game. Defensive battle. So Nolan Hauser got the points on the board first. He kicked the field goal in the opening series off the turnover for Clemson. Ramos answered with a field goal of his own. Then we get into the touchdown. Adam Randall runs it in from a yard away. Caden Durham answers with a touchdown run of his own. And then Trey'Dez Green, beautiful back shoulder fade from Garrett Nussmeier. LSU defeats the Tigers, shows them who the real Tigers are, and kind of took over Death Valley 17-10. My thoughts on this? I like LSU. I think that's the real Death Valley. Historically speaking, it's Clemson, I think, but LSU is just more intimidating. And it's a crazy environment because it's SEC ball. So, yeah. What to say about this game? Well, first thing, I picked Clemson to win this game. So, just like I picked Alabama to win on Saturday, which I will probably not do again. So, yeah. Probably not doing that again. But LSU, what to say? This was a defensive battle, but LSU could run the ball more effectively, and that's thanks to Caden Durham at 74 rushing yards on 17 carries, rushing touchdown. Another instance of where the team that runs the ball wins the game. These are two offenses with, and I'm just going to say this, these are two terrific offenses with weapons on the outside at tight end and wide receiver. These are two of maybe the best skill positions in the country in LSU and Clemson. And LSU was better because their defense was better. I love LSU's defense. Harold Perkins, Patrick Payton. You know, Harold Perkins, I get it. You want him to be like the alpha, the guy that leads the defense. But put him on the edge opposite of Patrick Payton. This team is unstoppable, man. Whit Weeks, love that guy. Leading linebacker. Fantastic. Clemson's defense, in my opinion, could be better. But there's not much you can do when you're, I don't think many people know this, but Treydas Green is a tight end. The guy that caught the game-winning touchdown. He's a tight end. So that's a corner on a tight end. It's a back shoulder fade in the end zone, basically. And he just basically turned his back to him. And if I'm Terrell, I've got to get my hand through to knock the ball away. But he's bodying me right now, so I can't really do anything, and he catches the ball for a touchdown. 2 interceptions, though. Or Cade Klubnik threw 1 interception. The 1 interception hurt because, you just can't do that in those types of situations, right? It's something that you cannot afford to do. You just can't do it. Garrett Nussmeier didn't throw a touchdown. I was surprised that he was wearing 18, but not really because he does seem like he's just second best player on the team. I don't know how that works at LSU. I assume 7 is the best player because Jamar Chase was supposed to wear 7 during the pandemic, and 18 is the second best player. But I thought it was the second best player from like Louisiana or something. I'm confused. I don't understand how it works. You can comment down below if you understand. I'll probably look it up later, but. Garrett Nussmeier is wearing 18 now. So in case you didn't know, you thought Garrett Nussmeier got hurt. I did. That's Garrett Nussmeier out there rocking 18. So, in case you didn't know. Okay. What else to say about this game? LSU, in order to claim, LSU was cocky heading into this game. Brian Kelly talking about Death Valley Jr., big talk coming from a guy that's just won his first season opener. LSU, they're out there wearing, what's it? What were they wearing? 1-0 t-shirts, I think that was. It was just, oh my gosh. They were so cocky, but they came in there and they won the game. And, you can talk the talk only if you can walk the walk. So here's how LSU proves to the real Death Valley. You do not lose a home game this year. And whenever Clemson goes to LSU, hopefully in the next couple of years, you got to beat them. Because if you don't, it's still a tie. So go undefeated this year and beat Clemson when they come to your Death Valley. That's how you prove who has the real Death Valley. But in my opinion, it's LSU. LSU's just... the environment, it's not even comparable, man. It's really not. Okay, next up was probably the most disappointing game of the weekend. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Ohio State versus Texas. What to say about this game? Oh my God, this game was so winnable, and it's just Texas. I really don't agree with anyone who says Ohio State's defense is good. Yes, but really, Texas should have scored more than once. And I'm gonna break this down. On QB sneaks, the center falls like at the knees. He just dives headfirst into the ground. The quarterback falls down on top of the center. That's how you run a QB sneak. Well, teams find out and they stop that. So the tush push, right? And this is what it is when the center falls down, the quarterback falls down up behind the center, but the two guys that are standing behind him push him forward. So he still has momentum while he's heading into the ground. So it's good for about a good yard and a half. And that's why the Eagles are so effective at doing it, because they practice that play, they understand how it works, and stuff like that. So Texas, first of all, they can't run an effective tush push because the guys behind them aren't blocking. And the center does not go down deep enough. And that's your first point. This should realistically... Ohio State still should... They shouldn't have won this game. But they did. So props to them. Honestly, I was a little surprised C.J. Donaldson was getting majority of the carries when I really thought that it should have been James Peoples, the freshman. I think he's a freshman. So, but it's Ohio State should have won that game. I just can't get my head around it. They should have lost. But you know what? We're going to break down the game. James Peoples had a 1-yard touchdown run, 7-0 Ohio State. Carnell Tate had a ridiculous catch. It was crazy because I think the quarterback, I don't know, but it's a go ball, and he's running down the Ohio State sideline, and Julian Sand just throws it up to him. The defender doesn't turn his head, so he's locked on. He's got his hands on the receiver, if my memory serves me correctly, and Carnell Tate, he goes up, catches the ball. When he hits the ground, the ball pops out. And he catches it, and he grabs the ball on, it's either his leg or the defender's leg. But it's a touchdown. And that might be you had the Miami catch, which was one, the Miami one-handed catch. You had the Florida one-handed catch. That might be a candidate for catch of the year. I understand, those catches with one hand, but the concentration that guy had to hang on to that football, that was incredible. So props to Carnell Tate. Although I hate giving him to Ohio State players. Okay. Parker Livingstone, he also caught a goal ball from Arch Manning on the goal line. They didn't get the onside kick. They did get the onside kick. Arch Manning just threw the ball short of the first down marker. Okay. My thoughts on this game: Ohio State should have won it. Texas's defense is really good. It got to a point where they were just, Ohio State was marching down the field on Texas's defense, and they were just wearing them out. And so, yeah. But Jeremiah Smith, good player. Still a good player, in my opinion. Couple of drops early on in the game, but he recovered himself. Don't like giving him praise because he's from Ohio State. By the way, if you're a Michigan fan, go ahead and hit the like button for me. But yeah, don't like giving flowers to Ohio State players. It's just me. So yeah. But anyway, Texas, you had multiple opportunities to score in this game. They had the goal. I don't want to call it goal line fade, but they threw it up to Parker Livingstone, and he caught the touchdown. You had the drive before you threw the interception. You can't guarantee you're going to score on that. But the 4th down and 1, in my opinion, where you're on the 2, trying to get to the 1. Like I said, you got to run the tush push effectively. That's how you do it. So I don't agree with the way the Commanders were trying to stop it, although they probably have watched more film than me and probably understand how it works better than I do, but that's kind of my understanding of how the play works, and it kind of makes sense. So honestly, in my opinion, what you have to do is get someone lined up over the center and just kind of, have someone on your side push the guy into him. Ohio State didn't do that, but Texas didn't even run it right, so it didn't matter. Texas 1 for 5 on fourth down. Ohio State scored on a fourth down, which was cool. Texas, they'll bounce back. They really shouldn't have lost this game. I'd have said that multiple times, but they really shouldn't have. And it's not because Ohio State's not good or anything. It's just you made too many mistakes offensively. Like, first pass of the game, if anyone was watching, they'll know, but first pass of the game, it's like a play action or like an RPO or something, and he fakes to give to the right back, rolls out to the right, throws, and it's wide open. I think it's Ryan Wingo, and he just threw it short. I don't know if the ball got tipped or not. That probably had something to do with it, but it's frustrating, especially for Texas fans. I don't know any Texas fans, but if I did, I probably wouldn't be friends with them because Texas came into the big house last year and kicked Michigan's butt. So I probably wouldn't be friends with them, but I would be rooting for them in this game like I was. Yeah. Last thing about the Ohio State game. A lot of people are giving Arch Manning criticism. I think I've criticized him today, but he's not a bad quarterback. It's just that, offensively they made a lot of mistakes. Offensive line was young and inexperienced. You don't have Kelvin Banks anymore. It was completely different from last year when they went to the big house because you had 4 offensive line veterans and 1 new starter. This year you had 1 returning starter for veterans, and DJ Campbell was actually the guy that was learning heading into that Michigan game last year, and he's the only returning guy in the offensive line this year. Everybody else got picked up out of the portal or recruiting or something like that or shipped up. So you have 4 new starters. So when you're learning like that and you're playing the defending national champions with I'm just going to say it, blitz, forgot the word I was going to use. It's not, I would call him a blitz tactician for now. Defensive coordinator that spans blitzes, Matt Patricia. Oh my God. So guy that, kind of spams the blitz. Yeah. That's very difficult to do. So, I know a couple Ohio State people, so good for you that you got the win, but just know that Texas really should have won, and I am not happy about Texas. Last game on the slate was Notre Dame, Miami. This was Sunday night game. This was the last game I predicted in week 1. I didn't do too good on this prediction, although I probably underestimated Miami. It's a completely new defense, so that's probably why they were so good. But let's take a look at the game. Notre Dame was favored by a field goal, which is why it was so easy to take Notre Dame, because they were like, Notre Dame's going to win. But actually, Miami scored first in the second quarter. Carson Beck threw a touchdown pass. Then C.J. Carr threw a touchdown pass, so 7-7. Then you had the C.J. Daniels one-handed catch before the half, so Miami's leading at halftime 14-7. Shamar Brown ran it in for a touchdown, so 21-7. Jordan Faison caught the touchdown pass from C.J. Carr, 14-21. Field goal from Miami, field goal from Notre Dame. C.J. Carr ran a touchdown run in, so this is a tie game, 24-24. 27-24 is your final score on the Carter Davis field goal that he kicked with like a minute left. Okay. Thoughts of the game. First things first, Notre Dame was never out of this game. It's just they really started, because they were down 2 touchdowns heading into the fourth quarter. That was the most they were down by. The most they were ever down by was 14. I want to apologize to Carson Beck. Completely underrated. Sorry. I thought we were going to get same old Carson Beck, but Miami hit the portal hard this year. They went hard on wide receivers. They went hard on defense. And so Notre Dame, in my opinion, lost this game because Miami's defense was actually good. This was the whole reason I picked Notre Dame was because Miami's defense was not good enough. And because Carson Beck was their starting quarterback. It was more than Carson Beck. It was their defense. And their defense won the game for them. So I'm proud, man. Or I'm not proud, but I'm excited to see Miami. And in case you're not already thinking it, Clemson, Miami, Florida State, Miami. Those games are going to be lit. Although Clemson did lose this week, so maybe not. Notre Dame side of things, you're not I want to say, you are the national championship runner-ups, but you're not the national championship runner-ups. And what I mean by that is your defense got worse, your secondary definitely got worse, and it showed in this game. You know, I have Benjamin Morrison, which is a major step down, but he wasn't even healthy for like the final. Like he got injured after week 4 or week 3 or 4 and missed the rest of the season. So it's not like he was a huge impact on this team. They were still in this game. It's just your defense is not the same defense it was. Also, can we talk about how insane that Reuben Bain Jr. interception was? Because that was tip drill, basically. And I'm like, Jaden Greathouse, catch the ball. And it ended up in Reuben Bain's hands. And I was shocked, to say the least. Shocked, to be like the minimum for me. I'm shocked. So, what else do I want to say about this game? Good win for Miami. Good win. It's the out-of-conference game, top 10 matchup. And honestly, I don't know why more teams don't do this. Teams like Nebraska and Indiana and Illinois all want to have easy schedules, and they don't want to really face competition. And so when you do that, your strength of schedule becomes really weak, and now you have arguments where the people, and now you have teams like or conferences like the SEC who don't even they just want their own tournament, basically, for the playoff, because Alabama deserved to get in. Not really, I don't agree, but, they're saying Alabama deserved to get in instead of Indiana because Indiana's strength of schedule was really bad. And Alabama beat the SEC champions. But you know what? This is really good for both sides. It's good for Notre Dame because quality loss. Well, okay, there's no such thing as a quality loss, but this is a good loss. Right? You lose to a good team. And as long as Miami goes on and has a great year and make the ACC championship game, this is good for you. Same thing goes for Texas and Clemson. And what's a stretch for Alabama? But let's say Alabama. Yeah. But it's good for the opposing team, for Miami too, because Notre Dame is still going to be good this year. It's not like they're going to be bad or anything. Like, they're still going to be good. So there's no need to worry about that. You know what I mean? So, unless you're like Florida State, you're probably going to have to beat Miami or Clemson or something like that to happen. Okay, college football rankings. I know it's the moment you guys have all been waiting for, so let's get straight into it. No hesitation. I did drop one team for the rankings. It was Boise State. You lose by multiple touchdowns. I don't know how many. I think it was like 20 points or something like that. You fall in my rankings. No respect. I kept Alabama in there, though. I don't see a world where Alabama's not ranked. And I do think they're going to bounce back, so I kept them in there, but they're pretty low on the list. Okay, number 30 is Georgia Tech in the honorable mentions. Reason why they're that low is because I have a couple teams that are better than them, ahead of them, so I kept them in. Yeah, I kept them in. Haynes King knows how to run the ball, if you know what I mean. But yeah, the quarterback went for 150 yards. You can win the game, obviously. I think Colorado, you can't stop the run. I actually watched the final 2 quarters of that game. I was on the road for the first half, so I watched the second half. So, but yeah, that was a great game. Momentum shifted, and when it came down to it, Georgia Tech, they got the stop, but they got the touchdown, which was most important. Because you can't stop the run, you can't stop the run, you can't run football games. So, especially when you're playing a team like Alabama. Number 29 is Auburn. They scored a lot of points, but they also gave up a lot of points, which is why they're 29 and not 28, 27, or 26, or even in the rankings. But yeah, Auburn looks really good. I like Auburn. I think they did really well. Yeah. Jaxon Arnold's better than I expected. Defense is not great, though, so you're probably still not beating LSU or Florida or Alabama, but you look good against Baylor. So if you can put up 42 against everybody, you'll probably win more than enough games. You're definitely going to smoke Alabama. Number 28 is UCF. Hey, didn't Alabama used to play them? Okay, I'm going to stop now. But yeah, UCF, University of South Florida, if you're not familiar, they beat Boise State on Thursday night, I think it was, 34-7. And I didn't pick this game because I'm like, it's 2 group of 5 schools. And although it is Boise State, they don't have Ashton Genty, so they're not really worth watching this year, in my opinion. But yeah, UCF blew them out, and their quarterback takes hits like he's Jane Daniels in college. He's a dog. Well, he doesn't take hits like he's Jane Daniels in college. That's a bad example. He takes hits like he's Derrick Henry. Just a little shoulder bump. Get off me, stuff like that. 27 is Nebraska. 27, I have Nebraska at 27 because the team at 26 is just too good. They put up like 40 points against the team that they used to play yearly. But yeah, Nebraska, their offense. Start with the offense. Offense played a good game of football. They scored first. They finished the game. They did a great job. Their defense also did a good job. That kind of surprised me. Didn't give up many points against Cincinnati. And they won the game. And I didn't watch that game Thursday night, but it had me kind of worried because I'm like, oh my God, they might lose this. Also, who plays the foot? This is for like the guys that made the schedule for college football this year. Who schedules a game that's played in the Midwest at 9 o'clock? People in the Midwest are asleep at that time, man. Put it on the West Coast. Put that game at SoFi instead of Kansas City, Missouri, if you want to play at 9 o'clock. Man, I'm in my pajamas at 9 o'clock. No, I'm kidding. 26 is Utah. Utah is at their best, but no one talks about them. I'm paraphrasing what Joel Klatt said a couple of weeks ago. But basically, he was right because no one paid attention to Utah, and they put 40 points on UCLA. And I called it. That defense is not as good as their offense, and that offense didn't look as good. So, UCLA, you got a long way to go. Might make it to 500, but, North Carolina might be 500 this year, so. Which means that's optimism for both teams. All right, we're entering the top 25, and I just want to say one thing. There is some big-time differences, and don't be mad at me. Be mad at the guys that submitted their AP poll because they put Florida State high enough where they had certain points to be ranked number 14. I feel like I just ruined it, but, whatever. At 25, I got Kansas State. I'm not going to take them out of the rankings, but they did almost lose to, I think it was North Dakota. I think that they almost lost to, so 2 very close calls. They definitely defense, like, you know, I didn't expect them to be not as good. Like, I didn't expect them to play like they did Saturday night, or I can't remember what day they played, but I didn't expect them to play like they did. I understand, you know, how they played in Ireland because they were playing against Big 12 competition, and so that, you know, Big 12 competition, it's, you know, it's chaos. You know, it's tough to beat other Big 12 teams on a weekly basis, but North Dakota, really you're expected to, you know, kind of beat them up, blow them out. So they dropped 9 spots in this week's rankings. Alabama is number 24. I would have put them at 25, but I have more respect for Alabama than I do Kansas State right now because I don't know about Kansas State. Now, the good news is for Alabama, you can bounce back. There are a couple of matchups where there's definitely going to be a loser and there's definitely going to be someone that gets knocked out of the top 10. A team that could be on upset alert this week, I'm saying it now so you know you have all week to do your research and study up on this team. Iowa State, they played Iowa. I've not watched anything from the Iowa game, but I'm excited to watch big noon between Iowa and Iowa State. That's going to be a great game. But yeah, Alabama, there's some potential there. You played Louisiana Monroe this week. Only thing I ask from you is you don't lose, because that makes you basically Florida State, 2024 Florida State. So don't look bad, because I think you'll be underestimated when you go to Georgia, and Georgia's probably going to beat you up pretty bad. So don't do that. Don't do that. So Alabama, they were number 8. I think I had them at 7. Yeah, I had them at 7. Okay, yeah, that's weird. They fell down 17 spots instead of 16. I don't know why. My math is off, but they fell down quite a bunch. They did have them at 7. Yeah, they were 7 last week. I don't know. I'm not paying attention right now. Yeah, so Alabama fell down 17 spots. I got Florida State at 23. New team to the rankings. They didn't shock me, but I'm not putting them up so high when they're 15th in the country. Well, they were 14th, but I'm not putting them up that high. I still think that there's some teams that are kind of better than them. Plus, I like the dynamic. If you lose to that team. Or if you lose to an unranked team, the unranked team gets ranked above you. Love that. I'm doing it here. Okay, so 22 out of SMU. They didn't move because weak opponent and you give them a lot of points. Not much else to say, although they do play better this week, so that's going to be another game that I'm going to keep my eye on. Ole Miss, I had to move up a couple spots. They played good defense this week against, honestly, I don't know who they played. There was a team from the FCS, I'm pretty sure. No, they played Georgia State. 63-7 against Georgia State. So they moved up a couple spots. Indiana, I had to move down one because weak opponent gave up a couple of points, so not really big. Texas Tech looks good, although I did read somewhere that their quarterback is questionable, so I might have to move up 5 spots. They're number 19. So in case you missed that bottom 5, it's 25 Kansas State, 24 Alabama, 23 Florida State, 22 SMU, 21 Ole Miss, 20 is Indiana, 19 is Texas Tech, and at 18 I got Tennessee. Couldn't move them up that much. Although I didn't really want to move them up pretty much. I didn't want to move down the 2 teams I have in front of them. Tennessee played a great game. I love Joey Aguilar, the dynamic, full-effect quarterback. this list. But yeah, moving on. Number 16 is Oklahoma. They moved up. Good defense, good offense. They play Michigan this week, who I have at 15. Game of the week. I'm already calling it, no hesitation. Game of the week. Oklahoma versus Michigan. Oklahoma is. I'm not going to give any away. I'm not going to give away any predictions till Friday, but Oklahoma's really good. So, you know, I don't know that Michigan fans will listen to this are going to take my advice, but if you're like a Buckeye fan or something like that, if you're a Penn State fan or something, there you go. I got Michigan at 15. I was talking to some kid earlier today, and he was like, everybody keeps talking about Bryce Underwood getting that block out there. And I was like, yeah, we're talking about that instead of that dive he threw to Marlon Klein. That was a touchdown. We're not talking about that, because that was a great pass. Michigan looked great. Justice Haynes, although I am concerned, who is going to be your number 2 guy? Who's going to change the pace back? Who's the Donovan Edwards to Justin Haynes? Who's the Blake Corum? Where's the Blake Corum in South Haskins? The Donovan Edwards, Blake Corum. Chris Evans, Karan Higdon type deal. The throwback for all the OGs out there. Listen, I got you. South Carolina's at 14. Dominant defense. Oh, that was the only thing I was unsure of about South Carolina. Defense. Defense pulled out. I like South Carolina. Defense, like South Carolina State, they moved up. Michigan moved down. I don't Oklahoma moved up four spots. So, Tennessee's 18, Texas A&M 17, Oklahoma 16, Michigan's 15. South Carolina, is 14. At 13, I got Iowa State because 2-0, you beat Kansas State in Ireland. Technically, it was on the road, but I guess it was on the road for both teams, so it doesn't really count. They dominate this week, so I moved them up 5 spots, number 13. Iowa versus Iowa State, that's going to be a great game this weekend. I'm hyped for Iowa State, just like I'm hyped for Michigan, Oklahoma, so 2 big games to watch. Arizona State did not move. You play Mississippi State this week, there's a good chance that they're still stagnant. By the end of this week or going into next week, there's a chance that they're going to still be stagnant, just right where they are. And I think I'm okay with that. So they're 12. 11 is Florida. They moved up 2 spots from number 13. Catch of the year, potentially. I like the Miami catch more because it was for a touchdown. It was basically the same catch. So if you've seen one, go take a look at the other one, but it's basically the same catch. Didn't give up many points to Long Island State, but at least they played someone that's like close to their school. You got teams like Michigan played New Mexico. New Mexico's on the other side of the country, bro. Like, why can't you play Central or not Central, Eastern or something like that? Or Western. They used to play Western every year. You had teams like USC flying in Missouri State. That's a long trip, man. And so now, you had a lot of controversy in my rankings last time. I didn't really move anybody up or down except for Alabama and Kansas State. Florida State, basically, the only new team in the rankings. This is where the controversy kicks off. We're going to start with 10. That's Illinois. 60 points, 63 to 7, I think they scored. Very impressive in my opinion. And I didn't watch the Illinois game because I just, I saw some of the highlights on Sports Center the morning of Ohio State, Texas. So I didn't really watch the Illinois game that much. But Trevor. No, I had it right the first time. Travis Etienne, who's the Phil Hoffa or the Will Shipley, because for years they had a decent running back in the backfield that would just the quarterback would build off of, which was whatever it was. DJU, unfortunately. Sorry to all the Cleveland fans out there. And Kate Klubnik. They always had a guy like that. They gotta figure that out. But when they do, they're probably gonna be really good. Although Notre Dame couldn't really run the ball in Miami. That would get Alabama, but they didn't really have run games. Alabama doesn't really have a run game yet, so. Number 7 is Texas. This one is actually spot on 100% accurate to the actual rankings because they didn't move at all. Well, they moved out of the spots, but this is, they played good defensively, but the offense needs a couple work to get themselves up. 7 is appropriate. You're at home for the first time this season by San Jose State. That should be kind of good because they have the bye. They have Florida, the other 2 out-of-conference games. You have the bye, and then you play Florida. I think that's at Florida, and then you play Oklahoma. So Texas has got 4 weeks to get this thing right before they go to Florida, just like Alabama does. And I think they can get it straight before Oklahoma. If they can't get it straight before Florida, probably not. But before Oklahoma, I definitely think they will. Oregon is number 6. I had them up 3 spots from number 9. I was actually surprised with how low Oregon was, but I didn't watch any Oregon film. I watched the Oregon game, so I'm embarrassed. I watched the Oregon game, but they play Oklahoma State this week, and if they lose, they're going to be sitting at the bottom of the pit like Alabama is right now. And I might have to put Oklahoma in the rankings, so they cannot lose this week. Or Oklahoma State, at least. They cannot lose this week. For all the Oklahoma fans out there, and I guess all the Texas fans out there, do not lose Oregon. Number 5 is Miami, and they played really well. This is also exact 1-1 with the college football rankings. Number 5 is Miami. Played really well. I mentioned their defense. Their defense is really good. I was surprised at how well and how different this defense is. Although they did, kind of like give up a couple big plays late in the game. They held their ground throughout, a couple of drives here and there. They, they got points, but they held their ground enough to where their offense was able to win the game without scoring more than 35 points, which was a kind of a theme for Miami's defense last year. Number 4, okay, this is honest, LSU. And I put LSU 4 because I put Clemson high as probably, LSU at 3 this week. And LSU, I feel like they're the 4th best team in the country, partially because Georgia is ahead of them, but, you didn't score that many points, but you didn't give up that many either. That's props. I talked about LSU. I would say again, your best player is that guy. We run the ball efficiently. You're able to win the game. That's what LSU did. One of the best skill position groups in all college football. Although I do not understand why LSU kept throwing the ball to the tight end. I just don't get it. But yeah, LSU's really good. Got their first home game this week as well. Georgia is number 3. What is it about Georgia? Zach Brown I don't really get a chance to submit a prediction for the Thursday football game. But football is back, and it's kicking off, and I don't want the person that didn't get to submit a prediction, so I'm going to do my predictions for Thursday night games on Tuesday. So you guys have fun. We're probably going to do this for every Thursday night football game. And I said I would bring NFL updates. I didn't get any news today. It would make the episode too long, but I did get some that news that I continue to promise that's going to come out on Friday. I'm working on an NFL predictions episode right now. These will be my NFL predictions for the season, so that's going to be its own episode. So if you're ready to get pumped for that, yeah. So the Eagles. Our favorite by a touchdown in the game. It's the only game that we're picking, but it's the one for right now. So the Eagles are favored to win by 8 points against the Cowboys, who just traded Micah Parsons. A lot of factors going into this game. One, it's the banner reveal night. And it's the first game that the Cowboys have a new head coach. They have George Pickens. Offense is supposed to be good this year. The Eagles, the Eagles are supposed to win the division, and that's the expectation for the Eagles this year. Or, Commanders or whoever you have in the NFC East. Like I said, I'm working on NFL predictions video, so I'm trying to kind of get that out as soon as possible. And you're going to find out who I win in the East. You're not going to like the versions of who I had win in the East. You're just not going to like it. But if I'm being honest, I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys. And before you say anything, here's what I don't realize about the Dallas Cowboys. It's the same team with the new head coach. I'm not going to say improve your defensive line because, Mike Parsons is gone. Javon Diggs is still recovering. You got Kenny Clark on the inside, so he might help, but Donovan Easterricky, I think that's his name. He's going to step into Mike Parsons' role. He's got to be the guy that comes off the edge and gets pressure on the lines. Give me the Cowboys. The offense this year, in my opinion, it's too good to pass on. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Dak Prescott. But you have the offensive line head coach. I don't really know how to run the ball. Truly, I don't think the Cowboys are going to run the ball much until they get late in the season where it's kind of like, okay, we're like in first place and it's time for us to start losing games and, lower expectations for us. So that's kind of what I think of the Cowboys this year. I don't think they're going to be too bad, but definitely not going to be perfect. But Cowboys win Thursday night versus the Eagles, Super Bowl champion Eagles. And then you got Chiefs, Chargers in Brazil. The Chargers are a home team, which I don't like. Don't like that the Chargers are a home team. Seriously.